Welcome YouTube friends, welcome to my channel, and thank you for coming back and watching what I've got to say really, or listening to what I've got to say. So this is the video about the use of Roundup weed killer on the patios and on the paved areas of where I live. Now, I'm in an accommodation that is surrounded by some beautiful trees, and it's a complex, private estate, and we have an estates management company that manage the grounds, which is great, but we pay a price for that. And we not only pay a price in terms of ground rent and charges, but we also pay a price on the use of chemicals, the price being our health. And so yesterday I caught one of the groundsmen, not caught him in a net, although I wanted to string him up, and had a chat with him about, and asked him, what are you spraying there? Now I kind of knew he was going to say chemicals, because they're a company, right? Except I didn't and wasn't prepared for what he was about to say next, which was they were using the chemical that has a big impact on our health by Monsanto, and that's the glyphosate, which is basically Roundup. And so, as I said to you yesterday, I kind of nearly fell on the floor when I found out that they were using chemicals. And we have small children that play around the communal areas. I was a little bit, to say the least, gobsmacked. And now we know that, you know, glyphosate, particularly manufactured by Monsanto, has had a lot of press recently, and the glyphosate is mainly the main active ingredient in most weed killers, and that includes Roundup, and it is widely used by farmers and groundskeepers globally, general public, most garden centres and supermarkets you can get it from. And in the UK I've noted still that Homebase have got it on their shelves, so I'm going to be tackling that one in the next couple of weeks. Now there's a lot of information about it, and obviously it's there to control weeds. Now the company that manages the estate here, I haven't confronted them about this yet. However, the International Agency for Research on Cancer labelled glyphosate as probably carcinogenic, which is enough for me to say it shouldn't be used. And I certainly don't want it being sprayed in areas where I live. So when I caught him yesterday, admitted, he did say, we're not spraying your area. And I was like, look mate, I'm sorry to sound disrespectful, but I know you're not stupid, but you're spraying literally next door, which is just a path between my patio and her patio next door. I says, it's going in the soil, which is the whole problem. Even though I grow in pots, it's still airborne. and it's still going into the land. So I literally said there's no point in talking to you because you can't do anything. Actually you can, but you're obviously not going to. So what I said to him was, I asked the question, he said, look, and this is what horrified me about the company. There's a limited company that our estates management company have hired, but they are linked to a group company. And I believe, now that I've done my research since yesterday, or the day before actually, the company TCL Group own quite a few other companies, including the landscape contractors that we have here on the site I live at. So it's like, well, where do I start? Because our management company obviously don't care. So I thought, well, go to the company who owned the group. But asking, what was shocking me about this was when I asked the young guy, who was very helpful, and I've spoken to him before, and he's a really lovely guy. He basically said, look, I just want to do my job and go home. I was like, that's all well and good, but you're affecting other people's lives by what you're doing. And I have a say in that because I pay rent here. And so I'm not happy the fact that your company are choosing to override my choices without even consulting me. That was part of it. The other thing I said to him, or asked him, was, if you don't actually care, and obviously that you have a license to spray this, he said yes. I said, so your company have a license to buy it? He went, yes. I said, and so who then tells you to use it? Your company or the company that owns your company? So basically he fobbed it off and said TCL Group. I was like, okay, that's fine. And I looked at him because he knew I wasn't going to go away, because I've had conversations with him before, especially when I said don't spray anywhere near my patio with that stuff. And they have not done that, which is great. However, they're still using the product on the estate, and I'm not happy with that. So I then asked him, so why aren't you saying something about this? And because he'd already told me he'd done a lot of research on it, and he realised that it is, you know, a lot of evidence stating that it is carcinogenic. So in asking him those questions, because it affects your health, you know, we know there's a lot of information on the internet about this glyphosate. So I then said to him, okay, so let's have a look at why you're not saying anything about this. If you know, and you have looked at your research and you've done your research and you know it's a pretty bad product to be using. He went, yeah. I said, so why are you choosing to still use it? And he said, because I don't want to lose my job. And I'm thinking, that's a really bad excuse, and a very poor one at that. And I said, hold on a second. So you're afraid of losing your job if you say something, is what you're telling me? He went, pretty much, yeah. I was like, and that's an even sadder excuse. But also very sad to know that somebody is being employed knowing that they're using a product that's not too healthy for people, and definitely not healthy for the environment, and is too afraid to have a voice because he fears losing his job. That in itself shouldn't be happening. And that told me a whole story all on its own, without even getting into the actual product. The fact that this guy was too afraid to even confront his boss, or the company that supplies this for their usage, to say, look, have you not thought of these alternatives? And I then said to him, hoping that I would try and get some sort of wake-up call with him, because he's a nice guy, he's got a job to do, he's got kids to look after, so in his head he's got to have an income, and if he opens his mouth, that could go, and then what? So I could understand his fears, be it that in my head they weren't weak, but you know, I'm not one about fears. I'm about truth and getting these companies to take action. So I could understand his concerns financially. However, that shouldn't stop him having a voice, and that was the bit that concerned me, the fact that he felt that he couldn't have a voice. So I said, look, do you smoke? And he said, no, I gave it up. I used to before I had the children. And that was my opportunity. Right there, he opened the door for me. So I said, so you gave it up because you wanted to be around for your kids? Yeah. So I was like, so you've given up a carcinogenic substance so you could have a better life with your children and for your children? And he knew then where I was going with this, because he started to smirk. And he went, yes. I said, and yet here you are, standing, spraying carcinogenic products onto the land. And I said, look, you're an intelligent guy, wake up, have a voice. They can't sack you for having a voice. If you're too afraid to go to your company and say to them, there are better alternatives to use than this, then you're killing your children. And if you've already given up smoking for that reason, then it's just no different. So I was like, I'm sorry, but I don't understand what your problem is and why you're not saying something. I says, look, I'll give you an opportunity, and I'm going to open a door here for you. Not that I'm not going to do anything, because I am. Why don't you go to your company, and this is just a suggestion, go to your company and say, I was confronted today by a resident where I was spraying this chemical carcinogenic stuff, and she stopped me and gave me a real good verbal workover, for want of a better word. I said, but you can say whatever you like about me, because I really don't care. You can tell him that I was pretty nasty with you or whatever, and she wants us to consider looking at these are the alternatives. And I don't go to work to be attacked verbally by people. You know, even though I didn't have this attack, I said, just really flounce it up. I said, and tell them it was me that suggested it and that I want answers. I says, and here's the thing, because if you don't, I'm going to anyway. So me going to them is also going to back up what you're about to say to them. I said, but if you're too afraid, then you know it's going to get done anyway, because I'm going to say something. But it would be nice for you as a conscientious person, because you've just said you've stopped smoking about your kids, but you're happy to spray carcinogenic rubbish all over the land. I was like, wake up, man, wake up and have a voice. Stop being so afraid. They can't sack you on grounds of having a voice and an opinion. He went, no, I suppose not. I says, well, start saying something then. So I've pushed him, whether he will or not, I don't know. But me, being the woman that takes action, and I never hesitate, and I do think about things sometimes, but most of the time I will just take action. By the way, the view that you've got on this is the willow tree outside of my apartment that I planted a year ago, which has gone beautiful and big now. And does actually just block the view of the traffic that goes by on the quite busy road that's just outside of the apartment complex. So I got onto TCL and I explained to them I wanted to find the person who I could talk to. Now obviously I know I'm going to open a big box of worms doing this, but that's never stopped me before. And then I phoned I think it was Wrighton Gardens. They're a company, an organic company, Wrighton House organic company in Coventry in the UK, and went onto their website and got put through to a really amazing guy. I think his name was Andrea, and he was just so super supportive, and information that, like, he was like an encyclopedia. So got some support of him, and he put me through to another company who they're a support network for pesticides. So I got through to that company and found out loads of information, because I know that when I go to a company like TCL and Premier Estates, they're going to try and shut me down. And not that bothers me, because I won't give in. And now I'm going to take this even one step further. So I've got a bit of a challenge on my hands. However, it's not something that I know I would be easily defeated on, and probably not defeated at all, because I've got this other company that work in the new UK and offer a network to support people who are campaigning against the use of glyphosate, and so I'm going to take action with them to get this company to stop using these products. And I know that one of their other gardening companies is actually using a new method, and I'm going to get this method. I'll show you in a second. So the company Weeding Tech, which is the only company in the UK actually and they're trying to get councils on board here. So weedingtech.com offer an alternative solution, be it that it is overall cost effective, quite a lot, 30% less than using these glyphosates. However, there's obviously a considerable sum to purchase, and it's going to be a monetary thing obviously, because there's always money involved, isn't there, with these companies. But I'm going to do my best to try and get this company, who have already got one machine, that one of these companies through TCL already use this particular company and use their methods. So if one company is using it, then why aren't this company who we have using it? So this is going to be my question to TCL. So not that they've come back to me today, and probably not going to come back to me anytime soon, hoping I'll go away, but they shouldn't underestimate me on that one, because I'm not going to go away. I might give them a little bit of time to research who would actually be able to answer the question, or where do I start with the person, which person, or where do I start with this question, and who is responsible for giving me the information. And I did say to the receptionist at TCL, I will give you some time, but I won't be going away anytime soon. So if you don't come back to me, I'll come back to you. And I will continue to come back to you until somebody takes responsibility in taking my call and answering my question. So I said, and I was horrified to hear that one of your employees was even too afraid to even suggest and make a comment about this for fear of losing his job. I said, that horrified me. I said, this company is a global brand as yours, and you've got employees who are too frightened to have a voice. I said, that in itself, for me, was a very upsetting thing to hear. So that's my mission. That I'm just about to open one of probably a very, very big box of worms with an estates management team and the company who manage their gardens for them across the West Midlands. And I'm going to say to them, unacceptable behaviour that you're using glyphosate when you shouldn't be. So, and then say, look, one of your other companies is not using this and using Weeding Tech and their technology, so why are you not putting this out across all your companies? And from now I want you to start looking at it and see if I can actually get them on side to change their methodology, or who knows. But somebody has to have a voice, right? And somebody has to say something, because if everybody was to go, oh, somebody else will deal with that, or I can't deal with that because I'm just an individual, what can I do? Well, actually, one individual, it's many individuals that make the difference, and one individual has to start, you know. If nobody thinks they have a voice, then nothing's going to happen and no change will be made. But if one person stands up and says, excuse me, hold on a minute, you need to re-look at this and stop poisoning our land, and then be willing to follow through on your action. And that's all it's going to take, just one comment. And I've also written to my local council to say, are you as a council still using glyphosate? Because here's another alternative that you could use that overall will be cost effective to the council, and I look forward to hearing from you, is what I said. And again, I don't expect an immediate response, but I do expect a response at some point. So I'm not going to go away until these people give me an answer that I'm happy with, basically. And if not, then we'll get this other network company in the UK to support me. So I want to make sure that my local town is glyphosate free, and I'm going to campaign against it. And hopefully, if you find this video, you will realise that you have a voice too, and that you can help get this country glyphosate free, because we need people to stand up to these companies who think they can get away with it. Homebase, I am horrified to find that Roundup is still on the Homebase shelves, and I'm sure it's on many other companies' shelves, but I've not looked because I don't use it. I use other alternative pesticide methods when I'm growing in my pots, or when I'm, you know, I don't have, if I had a garden and I even had a bigger plot than what I've got now, I wouldn't use chemicals, because I don't believe they're good for us. Look what's happened to our food chain, look what's happened to our health, look what's happening, it's still happening. So if you're a gardener, a home gardener, you need to think about what you're using. Even if you're using path clear, or, you know, oh, I don't want weeds on my path, well, think about it. Think about it before you even buy a bottle, because if it's got even the first word that you can't understand, it's chemical. There are chemical free solutions out there. And what's the reason we're all so stupid enough to destroy the land right in front of our eyes when we have to live here? Again, white man is doing all the destroying here. It's not rocket science, it's the way commercialization and companies like Monsanto have got away with it for so many years. And we, as the people of this land, have to take back that control to say no more. I actually want to have a good health, and I want to have good food on my table, and not food that's smothered with carcinogenic properties. And people wonder why they've got diabetes and cancers and Parkinson's disease and endocrine system issues and fertility issues. Well, it's probably in something in and around you, even your own home. So please stop, think and look. Take one action, just take one thing. Stop using store-bought, over-the-counter blinking Weedle and crap like that. Well, I hope this video wakes somebody up, and I'll keep you posted on this very high vibrational topic, and I do ask the universe supports me on this to get it out into the world, and for all of you to start thinking about it. You know, if you don't use anything, or just don't sit there and think, well, I don't use it, so I'm okay. Does your neighbour use it? Does a member of your family use it? Do people at your school use it? Do people, you know, does where your children go to school, do the schools use it? Do where you work use it? Do your councils use it? There's plenty. Don't think, oh, I can't do anything, I'm just me. You can actually do something. So don't ever think that, you know? It's a bit like that. Who was that in that movie? What's her name? Not Bridget Jones. Legally Blonde. Didn't she say, have a voice, America? Stand up and have a voice. Well, you need to, UK and everywhere else, but I'm talking from the UK, you need to have your voice. You need to stand up and say, take the Roundup and take the weed killers off the shelves. Take it away so that we can't kill ourselves, because all they're giving us is the ammunition to do that. And you're supporting it by buying those products. Think about permaculture if you've got a garden. There's plenty of organic companies out there, organic situations, organic alternatives that you can use. Stop being so ignorant. So even just you, well, I haven't got anything, I don't have a garden. Well, think about another person that has. Educate them, help us. Help us get this Roundup off the shelves. Completely off the shelves, and nothing in its place. You know, we need to have that. I mean, the government, there's lots of issues around the government coming out of this Brexit thing, and making the situation worse for having carcinogenic products on the shelves as a weed killer. But let's just pray to the universe that doesn't happen, and that we do get some support to take the carcinogenics off the shelves and put alternatives in its place. I know a lot of people out there are already doing it, but there's an awful lot out there that aren't, and a lot of them are councils. You know, look, if you look at the majority of the land, who owns it? The churches. Are they aware? I'm certainly going to be going to my local churches and asking the question, who looks after your grounds? And then say to that grounds person, what products do you use to keep the weeds down? Because graveyards are a place where they keep the weeds down, right? Well, I'm sure that dead person, as much as they are dead and don't have a body to live in anymore, if they were alive, they probably wouldn't want chemicals sprayed all over the top of them. Be it that they're not alive, I know that's a bit of an extreme scenario. However, even if I was dead, I certainly wouldn't want chemicals sprayed around my gravestone, dead or alive. So have a voice, have a think about what I've said. You know, you can do something. Get involved in the network, the UK network, and Pesticide Action Network UK, and get them to support you in your campaign against your councils to stop using pesticides. And Glastonbury is already on board, by the way. There's quite a few councils down south that are on board with this and using weeding tech. Yeah, I said weeding tech, no. Weeding tech on board. So let us all help to promote weeding tech and get that company working for us, and get all this toxic chemicals off the shelves and out of the land for good. It's going to take a lot to reverse it, even if we can't do it in the next 5, 10, 15 years. It's got to start somewhere. And did you know Weeding Tech as a company, and I've got to find out the company that are working in Wales at the moment, actually, because there's an awful lot of the particular weed down there that's taking over a lot of the south area. This weeding technology is the word I was looking for. This weeding technology actually even they have a foam that gets rid of Japanese knotweed. Now that one has been a big part of an issue in, I think it's the south and the southish side of Wales, and they are using chemicals, and but this company are saying they have the solution, and it's a pretty organic solution to Japanese knotweed. Now for me, that is a massive yes. but I've got to find the companies down in Wales that are using these products, these wrong products, I'm going to say, the chemical products, to try and get rid of Japanese knotweed, when actually there's a company who is sustainably available to them. So I think not only have I opened a box of worms for myself in terms of campaigning against this in my local area, but also to contact the companies who are looking after the lands and chemically using sprays to try and combat the Japanese knotweed down in the south and west of Wales, I think it is. I've looked at an awful lot of properties that aren't selling because of this Japanese knotweed. So there you go, people, that's my update on the conversation I had with the local gardener. That has now triggered a campaign to be held against them for use of glyphosate. But you know, maybe this is the universal God's way. This is God's way speaking through me to say, come on, you're strong. I've given you the strength to be strong against people like this and companies in the past. Let's do it on this one. Let's get a campaign. I want you to get a campaign running. So, you know, sometimes I could have gone out at any point and missed him, but when I went out yesterday, which was an inspirational walk to get the apples, I just felt I've got to go now, and as I went out the front door, there he was, braying. So I caught him right in the act. And then the chances of that are probably 1,000,000 to 1. So what if this is God's voice speaking through me to take action? I'm certainly going to do it, because I honour Mother Earth with all my heart. And I hope you do too. For your kids, if you can't do it for yourself, which is a bit selfish in my head, you need to rethink that bit. So there we go, guys. Thank you for joining me, and hope you'll join me again soon. Have a beautiful week or day wherever you are in the world, and just start considering what changes you can make to make a better world, a better land for us to live in and on. Namaste, my friends.